It's fine. I did not do my rule of leaving the nut on.
Oh. Second.
We're going to do our best to make this a home-friendly family wagon again.
This is a 1980 Ford Fairmont wagon, and I picked it up for $500 sight unseen. Now there's only one problem with the car. It's 40 hours in one direction away from me in Washington State. There's actually a second problem. It barely runs. So I built up a Ford small block 302 engine, sent it and 3 of my friends across the country, and gave us 7 days end to end to build the car, V8 swap it, and drive it home. This is episode 2. In the first episode, we got the original engine to run long enough to drive the car around town. We wanted to set a baseline and see just how bad this thing really was, and if we had to replace more than just the engine and transmission. And yeah, it did not disappoint.
Second.
How are the brakes?
Horrible.
How's the clutch?
Bad.
How's the shifter?
Worse.
This thing is absolutely horrible in every sense.
We wasted no time pulling the original engine in favor of the 302. Now we actually had it in the chassis and running by the following evening of day 2, and that was the conclusion of the first episode. So from the wear mark to the seal, how big is that?
I'll shoot you the picture.
Well, can you measure it with something?
Yeah. You said from that wear line?
Yeah,
to the
seal. So here's the original drive shaft. The U-joints feel good, but the problem is it's too short. So what we're gonna do is go to a local transmission shop and hope that we can find a longer yoke. The thing is, we're not really getting full engagement on the bushing on the tail shaft, so it'll wreck everything if we try to drive it as is. So we need about an extra inch of engagement, and that should fix our problem. So we're gonna take off, and hopefully we'll come back with a solution. Because the Fairmont had a cable-driven clutch, I assumed that any later Mustang cable would fit the early Fox body platform cars, like the Fairmont, Zephyr, and so on. And this is where I was wrong. See, we pulled apart the Fairmont initially and looked at the pedal end of the cable and knew immediately that we'd have to change something. Well, in this case, we had to change the entire pedal cluster, and we didn't have one. So we started looking around, we went to a junkyard, and they had a few SN95 Mustangs, but those are different yet. We needed a Fox body Mustang pedal cluster. Derek made a phone call to one of his coworkers who actually had a Fox body Mustang parts car sitting behind his shop, which was amazing and such a godsend because those are getting pretty hard to find. And while I was gone getting the drive shaft lengthened, Derek did the swap in the wagon.
Basically making all the little jumpers to go connect all the positives to the positives, the negatives to the negatives, and just starting all the wiring to get these pretty little gauges set up for the inside of that car. A little sleepy. Oh. That's all right.
This is our lengthened drive shaft. I got f***ed for it for $175. Used yoke and a new U-joint.
And the used yoke is full of debris, which is preventing it from sliding into the transmission.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
Things are fine. Things are good.
Don't go to that guy. Okay. Oh yeah, girl. Where's the last bolt? Special thanks to Cold Case for providing the cooling on this project. This is one of the last things that we have to wrap up before this thing actually sees the road for the first time after our 3-day restoration of sorts. This is their Fox body radiator, and it's absolutely huge. It's way bigger than I was expecting, especially considering how small the original 206 radiator was from the factory. It had pretty large tanks like this, but the actual core was like no joke like that. It was so tiny, so this added, core space is a big deal. So.
The brackets go on mounts that are on the rad on the corners, not over.
I don't need it over here, but I just need them.
I am so thrilled with this. This is just awesome. With the SN drive, you have to run 2 different hoses. This is for an SN Mustang, this is for a Fox body. The stock Fox hoses, they go over the alternator, and the 3G alternator sits up a lot higher and further back in this, and with the SN drive, so.
Yes. Oh, beautiful. On the key.
That's beautiful. She's done.
Hey.
Somebody want to take a look at it and see what they think?
This is optimal.
Perfect. It looks great.
It does.
Yes. Very my god.
And you can see these really well.
Dude, you guys are amazing. This is unreal.
Wow, those brakes are mint.
Clutch. Oh my god, this
Is it good?
great. This is awesome.
Hey,
Look how perfect this is, man.
That's awesome.
This is so good.
That's really good. This is so good.
I told you.
Oh
it's
my
actually
god,
primo.
this is actually perfect. This is... The S-Rod was like punching the dash. This is so much better. Getting eyes on the barbed wire. It's actually kind of awesome.
That's sick as hell. What?
It's just right.
This is, oh my god.
That's funny.
That's permanent to this car.
Yep, that's a keeper. At this point, Josh had finished tacking up the exhaust, and we wanted to hear how it sounded. So I went to start the engine, and... Ready? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. What the It never fails, when you're working with a car this old and this neglected and forgotten about, there are things that will pop up, and this was one of those things that we just didn't see coming, because up until this point, the wiring seemed to have been fine. There were no issues with the starter or the connection between the ignition and the starter itself. Just randomly out of the blue, it just didn't work anymore, and we spent probably 2 hours trying to figure out what had happened. And ultimately, Josh figured it out.
And what's weird is like there's no, like that should be showing me ground right now. And it's giving me 12 volt here. But it's broken between here and there somewhere.
How the hell
How does that happen?
I have no fucking clue, but it is. Because that wire is not grounded, but it's grounded up here. I am sending power through the switch to here.
So it's just that 12 inches of wire coming out of the switch.
Something's messed up right there.
Somehow a break formed in the wire between the starter and the ignition switch, and Josh actually found this with his power probe about 8 to 12 inches downstream of the switch itself, so still very much under the dash. To fix this, we ran a new wire from the starter to the switch just to avoid any other problems on the drive home.
Ready? Yep.
This is a good place to stop for the night. Ricky ran a new wire from the ignition switch to the starter, bypassing the original wiring, and it runs. It starts it. So I think that's a pretty good place to stop for the night. We were supposed to leave first thing in the morning tomorrow. It's not going to happen. This thing hasn't left, hasn't been driven under its own power yet. So we have some things to wrap up in the morning, but until then, I think we're all pretty beat. So I think we're going to call it a night. It's day 4. We should be on the road right now, but we're not because we had some problems last night that we didn't see coming. It really sucks. So basically, we went to start it with the X pipe tacked up just to see what it would sound like, and hit the key, nothing happened. It's under the dash, it's really hard to get to, but basically right out of the switch, it's getting hot. 10 inches later, it's dead. It doesn't make any sense. But for the trip, we're just gonna run a wire from the switch to the solenoid on the starter, and that's good enough. So it's not the perfect solution, but we're out of time. We have to get on the road. And apart from that, Ricky and Kyle are finishing up the exhaust. Our mufflers didn't fit, so we had to get a set of cherry bombs from the auto parts store. Yeah, things are going great. It's crunch time.
If that's not a full exhaust system, I don't know what is. That's better than factory. Wow. Quality.
So somewhere in this cluster of wiring was the problem. Ricky ran a new wire through the firewall that we're gonna tap in place of the original wire that has the brake somewhere, so we can use our ignition switch to start, run, and stop this thing as it's supposed to be done. So I gotta put the column back together, finish the wiring, and then hopefully at that point we can put it back on the ground and actually see if it moves. Because, you know, we only have to drive it 2,500 miles. It's not a big deal. so much better.
Yeah, you're gonna get the hang of it on and off of that.
Yeah, it's
A little jumpy. Runs smooth.
it's good. It's got a couple little quirks, but I guess we're really gonna test on the road.
That gauge is off a little bit. That thermo switch kicks on at 190.
This thing is notoriously wrong.
Put some coolant in this thing. There we go. Yeah, it's kind of gross, but I don't really care.
We might need to adjust the carb a little bit one way or another. It stumbled just a little bit, but it also wasn't fully hot yet. So the only other problem that we have are the fans staying on longer than they should. The gauge is reading pretty low and the fans don't really seem to shut off. So we might end up putting the fan relay on a toggle switch just so we can keep an eye on it through traffic. But otherwise, I mean, we're driving 40 hours on the interstate. We almost shouldn't need these at all unless we're in town. So apart from that, the lights work, everything's there. So this is it. The cluster is slowly coming back to life.
Is it?
Kind of.
Doesn't smell so bad.
No, it doesn't. Not nearly as gross inside. We'll get used to it.
Because the swap took a little longer than we had anticipated, Derek and Josh were back to work on the 4th day, but before we left town, we had to pay them a visit because they hadn't seen the car move under its own power yet.
What do you think?
Smells like a new engine running.
Yeah.
You should just put bombs right off.
Yeah, they're about
You
this
should go
long.
down there
Are
and
they?
look, it's hilarious.
Those are the only like matching ones we could find in stock.
Oh, that's perfect. It really fits it actually. It's loud.
Oh, dude, it's perfect.
It's loud. You want to hear it?
Nice, I like it.
Oh, that's funny. That's way too much for this little thing.
I
Yeah, I know.
That's like a stock 94 F-150 motor with a high camo.
Yeah, it's a Mustang.
Headers and exhaust.
Yeah, Mustang.
Some Chinese headers. And some cherry bomb from AutoZone.
I couldn't ask for a better sound.
Dude, that's gonna be great. How does it sound like driving on the road? Is it drony or
Yeah.
It's
You just
gonna be
got-
loud.
put some earmuffs on or something?
Yeah.
That's it.
Got earplugs.
There you go.
I can't wait to see it at highway speed because we've had third gears, but it's
yeah.
God, the
There's nothing
shifter
wrong
is
with the
so much
trans,
better.
like I said. I had it in my truck. So.
What was your
Oh
number?
yeah.
So at 200 miles an hour, it's going to be turning 5,700 RPM. So,
Okay.
yeah. So it's got a 0.68 final drive in the trans, and then it's got a 308 gear.
308.
Yeah.
Oh dang.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it was that. Yeah.
So you're like
This was
maybe
back-
1,200 RPM on the freeway.
It was like 19.
Oh, well, that's not bad.
That'll keep the
At
yeah, that'll
70s?
keep the
Oh, that's
volume
not bad.
down.
This will prove really good.
Hell yeah, guys. Yeah.
Cool.
We need to get a picture with it. Is there anybody that could get like?
Rob,
What?
Could you get a
take a
picture,
picture
of
with
all
us?
of us with this?
This photo is so hard and just exemplifies what I wanted this trip to be about. Coming together over a common goal and ultimately making it happen. Although we had finished the car in 3.5 days, we still have to get it home. And although we've been 2 miles on our test drive so far, we don't really have much more time to waste just driving around town. So we decided to stab the wagon on the interstate and go as far as we could before anything went sideways.
lot of shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of, keep your mouth shut for about 2 minutes. That's not that drony.
It's not half as bad as I thought.
Not nearly as bad as I
loud
thought.
as that exhaust
Yeah.
really is. I mean, this is traffic.
This is fine.
This is like 60.
About 100 miles down, we stopped in Hermiston, Oregon to get gas for the second time so we could check the mileage of the wagon that would maybe set the tone for the rest of our drive home. See, last year when I brought home my 1981 Mercury Zephyr, it had the original 200 cubic inch straight 6, and it had a problem because it was getting 13 miles to the gallon, and I couldn't imagine this wagon with a 5 liter that was much healthier would be worse.
So 100 divided by 5.2. What's an exact number? 19.03 miles to the gallon. Holy hell. The straight 6 in my white wagon, the worst it ever got was 13 and a half. And it had a third of the power.
Our goal for the day was Twin Falls, Idaho, another 5.5 hours or 375 miles away from Hermiston. And at 19 miles per gallon, we wanted to go about 200 miles per tank in the wagon, just so we'd have a little extra in case we couldn't find a station. This meant that we'd have to stop at least one more time before we make our destination.
Have you noticed I like this car?
We picked this Chevron station out of a hat, and lo and behold, the only other car there was a 1988 Ford LTD wagon, which was pretty ironic, all things considered. Now, we did make it to Twin Falls that evening, but the card with the video files became corrupt somehow, and I lost everything. So, we'll skip to the next morning. Although we've only been 500 miles so far, this was the first 500 miles on our freshly rebuilt 302, so it was time for an oil change. And while we did that, it was a great chance to look over the entire car, everything from fuel filters to wheel bearings, and it's a good thing that we did.
Let's get an eye on this. There you go.
Oh!
There you go.
Yeah, that would have cooked a pump eventually.
Damn.
Little gunky.
A little bit. This is what it's supposed to look like.
It's a good looking coffee.
Wow.
Yeah, look at that filter there. So basically it was like this, but the solid way up.
Yeah.
That filter's ooky looking too.
And that's 500 miles.
After Ricky finished his rust and gasoline latte, we hit the road because today's goal was Kimball, Nebraska, or 9.5 hours and 675 miles from Twin Falls. Later that evening, we made our goal through Salt Lake, Cheyenne, and ultimately Kimball, Nebraska. We were all pretty amazed at how well the wagon was doing. It did not skip a beat.
About 18 hours today,
Yeah.
which is fine.
That late start at 6:30.
I don't know the mileage, probably around another 1,500 miles?
1,300.
1,300? Hi, Ricky, cold start it.
How cold is it? It's like, what, 45?
45.
Yeah, 40.
What do you think, 3 pumps?
Give her a few, yeah.
Oh! Sorry. God.
Hey, it worked. Fired right up, though.
There it is. Sorry, I never put my car on.
You're all right.
I don't either.
I'm ashamed. I'm a little embarrassed.
So we're on the very end of Nebraska, just right next to Wyoming. And we decided last night when we stopped that we're gonna try and get home today. Now that means, for us at least, a like 16-hour drive, 17-hour drive home. It's like 1,300 miles. It's gonna be a really long day, but hopefully nothing goes wrong and we can just get home. I think we're all pretty well beat, and I think the novelty has worn off a little bit on this trip. Thankfully, the wagon has really been great so far. The left front tire only had 8 pounds of air in it though, so we're gonna keep an eye on that. But apart from that, the vitals are okay. The fuel filter we changed yesterday morning looks pretty good, and the fluids are all right where they should be. So we're gonna cross our fingers and hope that that continues, and we're gonna buckle in for the day. And let's just get it home. This is probably our biggest tank yet. It's 212 miles at 12.5 gallons, 16.9.
Okay,
miles
that's
to gallon.
better.
So that's not bad. We were rolling pretty
We were
quick.
boogieing too.
Boogieing. That's not bad at all.
And by boogie I mean doing the speed limit. Not a sponsor, but if they want to, they should.
This is nice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fun.
What?
Nothing. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling dandy. Feeling real dandy. This thing's treating me well. And it's gonna be even better with stickers.
Yep.
I think we're like 30 miles west of Lincoln, and then that's about half an hour west of Omaha. And then once you're through Omaha, you're pretty much directly entering Iowa. So that'll feel really good to get through Nebraska. Then from there, it's pretty quick. I believe we're Iowa. I think we're gonna kiss Missouri, and then I don't know if we're gonna cross Illinois, Indiana, and then Ohio. So it feels like the home stretch.
It does.
2,000 miles down. It has been an astonishing 5 months since the conclusion of this trip, which is just mind-blowing to me. Now, when I was going back to edit this video, I realized that we did a really bad job of covering the last 16 hours of driving from Nebraska to home. This trip particularly was such a learning experience from end to end because of how in-depth, how involved this was. And then when you add in so many extra hands, more so than I usually have on these cross-country trips, it just takes something that's already complicated and makes it that much more so. So apologies for the way this is ending. I'm frustrated to say the least, but I literally can't do anything about it because I don't have the files, and I don't think they ever existed. So, with that out of the way, this is not the end of the wagon as you've come to know it through the last 2 videos. This thing is gonna live on. I have some more videos planned here in the very near future where I'm upgrading the engine, the rest of the driveline, the exhaust system, and interior. Because although it's clean, it's still pretty gross. So stay tuned for that stuff in the near future. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and thank you Motul and Cold Case for making this wild trip possible. If it wasn't for them, it never would have happened. All right, we'll see you in the next one.